Okay. I need my panelists first. Okay. Sorry. Okay, moving ahead. Well, thank you for being so patient and so engaging with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we will move towards the looking towards the future section, which is going to be an interactive session with the current board of trustees and the board of trustees candidates for this current election. Okay. I should.
Wait a moment, because I need
Okay, change the back.
yeah.
Yes. Crystal, you look nice. I'll take a photo.
We can pass them around. I'll bring the other two. Yeah. The simplest solution. Okay. We're just doing a battery change on the microphones.
No, but I what it is. Okay. Okay.
Hello, hello.
My chair or what? You want me to
You
move?
just need to move the chairs. I'll do it.
But
We'll bring it back.
you can try it. Ah, sorry.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
No, we can move it.
No, it's okay.
No, its part is long.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
So bring the mic.
Yes, thank you. I'll try. No, yeah, it's low. Yeah. No, you have to sit. You can't keep standing. Come on here. And I'll keep that one there.
Okay. Are we done?
Is this fine?
Okay.
It's fine?
Okay. Okay, I welcome you, the Board of Trustees and the Board of Trustees candidate to the panel that we will be having on looking towards the future of the Wikimedia movement in general. And I'll start with a brief round of introduction. Those who I expect that you all know these persons in front of you, but yes, just a quickly round of introduction, starting from you, Rosie.
Hi, my name is Rosie Stevenson Goodnight. I am a current trustee of the Wikimedia board, and I'm a candidate for re-election. Do you need more information or no? Okay.
So she is the lady behind the project you see, Women in Red. And history says that she has also been the Wikimedian of the Year in 2015.
Hello, Taslima Tayyab Karim. I'm from Nigeria, Africa. I am an event organizer in my country, Wiki Health Articles in Nigeria. I'm the initiator for that particular initiative because we don't have health over there. We don't have health articles as a main project over there. Then I have organized some other projects, Wiki Climate Campus Tour in Nigeria. I'm a board member for Wiki Project Medicine because I work more on health articles. Then I'm a community builder in my state and Africa at large. Then I'm a candidate for Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustee. Nice to have you all here. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria Dornina. I am a current trustee and a candidate on the board of trustees.
Thank you. My name is Crystal Steigenberger, but a lot of you know me as Kritzolina because that's my volunteer name on the Wiki projects. I'm also a candidate for the Board of Trustees.
Okay. So this question is for you, Vicky and Rosie first. So before we dig into the work that you do in your individual Board of Trustees members capacity, please tell us about some of the work that the Board of Trustee of Wikimedia Foundation does in general in the movement. What kind of work the BOD is assigned to in the movement?
So I am a lead on the task force, sister projects task force. As you know, Wikimedia not only supports Wikipedia, but other projects, WikiSite. I know a lot of people edit Wiktionary, and they're called sister projects. And the board of trustees was always tasked with approving the new projects, right? And it was very easy in the beginning, somewhere in the early noughties, where literally somebody, I bought a domain, let's open a new project. And that's how, I think Wikibooks or something was opened. At the moment, it's very hard to do that. So the Board of Trustees initiated a task force which consists of trustees and volunteer advisory members, and we are proposing a framework for people who want to open a new Wikimedia project. And we are also reviewing existing projects because they're not all of them are successful. And I'm not talking about the language variants. It's not about small wikis, for example. It's about new things.
So the Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees has a mandate to function at a high level and develop the strategy for the Wikimedia Foundation. And in that regard, it has done in the last couple of years two new things. One, it reviewed the, it's been involved in reviewing the whole wiki education kind of framework, the work that's being done within that kind of section. It's worked with the user group, it's worked with people who are staff members, it's worked with community members, and together they're trying to figure out what's going to be the best way forward. Also, until I joined the board, there had not been any strategic kind of direction related to WikiWomen's work. For years before I joined the board, I used to say, well, Alex Stinson is the glam strategist. Where's the strategy regarding women, WikiWomen's work? And the answer had always been kind of a shrug. But after I joined the board in the last 2 years, we now have a strategy. It's in our annual plan, you can read it, where we have a focus on women in all the different ways, women as readers, women as content producers, and content regarding women. So broadly, strategy, that's what the Board of Trustees does, and these are two of the areas that we focused on since I've been on the board.
Amazing. Thank you for this response. The next question goes, what are the major committees that are served by the Board of Trustees members, and especially about your roles in the committee and the work you do?
I would be fascinated to hear from our from the other candidates, which ones interest them. I'll tell you which ones I'm on. So in the last 2.5 years that I've been on the board, I've served in a variety of them. You can shift, but from the very start, I've been on the Talent and Culture Committee because that's my professional background. I've been an executive recruiter in my career, so this was a good fit for me. I am the chair of that committee, Talent and Culture, but there are several others, and So now on to somebody else.
You want to go first, Taslima? So there is one committee that is called the Community Affairs Committee, and I think that is one where I would be a good fit to sit, because I have, through my professional role at the Wikimedia Foundation, connections to a lot of the local communities on the ground. And I also consider this a very important community that should be, thoughts about this community here, the women's community, should be something that is brought to the Community Affairs Committee. Another committee that I'm interested in is the Governance Committee, because I'm also someone that has dealt a lot with governance in my professional role for the foundation. This was mostly the governance related to governance on the projects. Of course, the Governance Committee that is on the Board of Trustees is a bit different, because it cares about the governance on the meta level. You said the very high level that the board functions, even the how does the board itself govern itself, rule itself, but also what does the board do in relation to the foundation, what is governance for the foundation, what does that mean? So all those things are also something where I think I could be a good fit, but I'm also very much aware that if I should get elected, I'm also someone who will have to learn a lot. So these are just ideas for now, but I'm not sure. I think you also have some ideas, Taslima.
Okay, thank you very much. I would, if elected, I would like to work with the community affair, because aside being a Wikimedian, I'm a serial volunteer. In my leisure time, I walk around getting communities, trying to link people up, even within my community, despite the fact that I'm an event organizer and I hold position in the affiliate, which is a Wiki Project Medicine. I make sure I connect a lot of people together, I reach out, I serve as a body for some people, despite not being an official body. I serve as body, I reach out to people, I reach out to administrators to get blogged, resolved. Yesterday, I still reach out for like 3-4 people in my community, so I would work very well in that community affair committee. Then I would work well in talent and culture as well, because I have this way of bringing ideas, marrying ideas together, and I'm making it a whole one. I can sit down, okay, what's the problem we have here? And I would bring out solution for that. So I would work well in talent and culture committee. And as regards Nigerian is very rich in culture, so I have idea of how these things can actually work out in the global community as well. So these are the two community I have interest in. So like Crystal has said, I'm willing to learn. I'm always open to learn. I love learning new things. So and as the board is concerned, I'm sure I would grab a whole lot of things and bring them into pass and use them wisely as a board. Thank you very much.
And I think you already shared Wiki. Do you want to add anything more?
First of all, I want to say that all the new trustees start on the audit committee. This is one of the most important ones, and it oversees finances of the Wikimedia Foundation. So I served on that, and Rosie served on that, and the task force I mentioned is the Community Affairs Committee, belongs to the Community Affairs Committee, and I'm also a member of Product and Technology Committee.
I have interest in product and tech community as well, because although I'm still learning, but I have basic experience in using coding, how to code and all that. So I want to see how we can implement that and bring out more tech tools within the Wikimedia Foundation.
I'll just mention one more committee that we have, which is the executive committee. It's made up of the officers, the chair, the 2 vice chairs, and the chairs of the various committees. And since I chair one of the committees, I'm a member of that one. That's the last of it, the executive committee.
I just wanted to mention, I didn't know that the new trustees will go on the audit committee.
Yes.
But I was just thinking as we were talking that it's so typical that the women don't mention the audit committee. So I'm super glad it was mentioned, because finances are very, very important. And I think we as women really need to look into the finance part as well. So yeah, perhaps I can learn enough there to stay on that committee.
Okay, so the next question goes to the BOT candidates this year. What is your motivation to participate in the Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees election? And is there any substantial change that would be your focus area or priority project?
Okay. My main motivation for going for the Wikimedia Foundation Board of Trustees because over the years we've never had anyone from Africa on the board, and we really have a whole lot of challenges. We were discussing it in our African Wikimedia room earlier. I know what I went through just to get visa to come over here. We have a whole lot of challenges. Editing, we face challenges. A whole lot. And I'm not, like I said on my candidates page, I'm not really saying the foundation is at fault or maybe they are not overlooking, but it seems the foundation is not really understanding what we are going through. So if we have a representative over there, then it will bridge that gap. Like all these visa, all these English, Wikipedia, all the problems we face. We are not used to a whole lot of things. All these things that look very natural. So we don't have a whole lot of these things we use here. We don't have a whole lot of them in Africa there. So it's kind of a whole lot for us. For instance, the election method of voting, secure poll, is not. In fact, if you ask people, my people over there, they don't know what that is. We would have to explain. I'm not saying that the system is faulty, but having a board member from there would bridge the gap of communication and everything would work smoothly. Then people would have more interest in Wikipedia compared to how we do see it, because there's one time I was just visiting a friend. He saw my post, my status that, oh, I went for one wiki event. It was like, oh, so I thought wiki is edited by bots. That sounds somehow, but that's how he views it. Like there are a whole lot of miscommunication over there, lack of communication entirely. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much. And it's so interesting because you come from a place that it was so difficult for you to be where you are today. And that's why you are running for the board. Well, I have to say for me, it was very easy to be where I am today. I'm the person with the privilege. And for me, it's more this that I feel because I have gotten so much from the movement. Because being a Wikipedian broadened my horizon, having friends from India, having friends from Nigeria, Ghana, Russia. This has helped me so much in my personal life. But then I had the good luck not only to be a volunteer, but I also had the good luck to work for the Wikimedia Foundation for 6 years. I'm no longer working for them, but I saw also the work the board is doing from the perspective of a staff member. And that's why I feel I know what I will be getting into, and I think it's a place where I can give back a bit of all the good things that I've gotten. You were asking about a change I might want to drive. I don't think I want to drive some radical change. And I don't think it's a good idea to try to drive radical change from top down in this movement. But I see that a lot of things are already in place and need a bit support from the top. Things like everything we talked about in this room today. How can we help women to be more successful, to be more present, to be seen in this movement? How can we help to make women more visible on the projects? And not just women, but also I absolutely support, I have some ideas of the struggles you have to go through, but I only have a tiny idea. But also to support that these struggles get less, or people get compensated more for their struggles, or other things are made easier because the struggles are as they are, where we can't change them. So that's the kind of changes I want to drive, not from the top, but where I see them already growing, to give them the top support.
Okay, that is very insightful, actually. So, Rosie, would you like to add something here?
Please, you're the moderator, you decide.
No, I thought I got you of something. You wanted to add something to this?
Because you're also a candidate.
Oh, did you want to hear from all four of us on that? Oh, yes, okay. In 2016, I became involved with movement strategy. I did so because I love strategy. I did my master's thesis in the 1990s on strategy. So for me to be involved in it just seemed like, a little bit of heaven. I know, it sounds a little odd. 2017, I became more heavily involved in it and became a member of one of the 9 working groups, the Community Health Working Group. And our working group met every Monday for 51 weeks in a row. Just Christmas Eve, we did not meet. We continued meeting through 2020, when we came up with 12 of the movement strategy initiatives, or 45 initiatives that map into the 10 movement strategy recommendations. And then I was privileged to be elected to the board in the following year, in 2021. And I can say that if you read my statement back in 2021 and you read it in 2024, you know that I am here to work on seeing that those 45 initiatives and 10 recommendations make it to our movement strategy 2030. We have 6 years left. I believe in all of them very strongly. I have worked on them the last 3 years as a community member, as a member of an affiliate, and as a trustee. And my reason for running for election again is now I have so much knowledge of being a trustee. Let me tell you, it is stressful, difficult work. And I think that leaving now would be an easy step for me to do, but I think I'm born to do this and keep moving forward with these 45 initiatives. That's why I'm sitting here.
First of all, I want to tell you that any other candidates which are not here, that tells you that, oh, you elect me and I will change everything. This is not a good candidate, because at least they have unrealistic expectations. Of course, it's about the change, and I want to say that the previous boards were emphasizing that the boards of the Wikimedia Foundation, but now, and foundation only, and have nothing, well, not nothing to do, but they're not responsible for the movement, for the donors, for the other stakeholders. I can see now that the culture of the board is shifting towards having a broader outlook and including interest of the editors, of the affiliates, of the readers into the consideration. So it's already started, and I would like to continue supporting this idea that the board should have a wider outlook. Thank you.
I really got inspired with the statement of 45 initiatives, 10 recommendations, and the kind of the spirit of giving back to the movement. So it's really appreciated. Okay, so moving to the next question. How is the foundation ensuring sustainability and long-term growth for the Wikimedia projects in this changing digital landscape? who would like to take this? No, I mean, anyone who is comfortable can answer this question.
Through the short answer is through the annual plan. So historically, the annual plan was done on an annual basis. But since Mariana Iskander joined, she has had new thoughts on expanding beyond just an annual view, what we do in the next 12 months, to looking forward and making it more of a long-term kind of a plan. I think part of that is that she joined in January of 2022, but she did her listening tour in 2021, which was just after the recommendations were posted in 2020. So she saw those 10 recommendations, the 45 initiatives. She recognized you can't do it all in 1 year, so let's make a plan that looks beyond 1 year. And having that kind of forward thinking has changed the culture of what happens in the movement. We no longer, I think some of the affiliates were getting like annual grants, but now they get grants for, I've never had one of those grants, so I don't know, but like 3-year grants. Yeah, multi-year grants, that's the right word. So that's all part of this shift, recognizing that if we only look every 12 months, 12 months comes really fast and then you're always starting over again. That's really difficult. It's difficult for the community, the affiliates, the foundation. And so this shift, my opinion, was brilliant. That's my answer. Thank you.
I would to add to the tech side of things. One of my proud achievements was I was involved in the final interviews for the Chief Product and Technology Officer, which some of you know is Selena, and I strongly advocated Selena. The second candidate was male. I didn't advocate for her because she was a woman, but I thought that she has skills that the other candidate was lacking. And I'm happy to be proven right. Selena reorganized the tech system and made it more agile. So we are more ready to answer technological challenges such as AI. And I was very impressed when something which was shown as a demo on the annual meeting that does the annual planning, Rosie mentioned, and the board is usually present and shown an early draft of that. So it was a demo, but it often happened that the demo didn't go anywhere. But this particular demo went through the product stage, and then it was advertised, and then it was available. So I think this is the level of agility that foundation should have in the current technological landscape.
Okay, aside what Crystal and Victoria said as how the Wikimedia Foundation is ensuring sustainability of projects, one of the other ways is through strategic planning. The foundation is not just jumping on things. There are strategic plans towards that. And then another one is inclusivity, because the foundation is not excluding anyone in their projects. So there would always be sustainability because nobody is feeling left out. Whatever race, whatever color, age, they are minority, they are groups for minority. And then another one is that the foundation is not investing only on user groups and affiliates. There are rooms for events organizer, like someone like me. I organize projects in my country out of user groups, and I collaborate with other one. That's another one. There's room for partnership. I collaborate with Wiki Project Medicine, Dr. James Elman, despite being the board member. So like that way, there's no way I work on health, he works on health. The project medicine is about health. So there's no way there will not be sustainability of these projects in different countries, in my country, in different places. So all these ways. And then another one is this Wikimania. Wikimania is still a way whereby everybody gathers, and by the time we get home, meeting online every time will not really sustain everyone. But having a place, having a physical environment that accommodates everyone is a kind of way to sustain projects and for people to communicate their mind and concerns directly and physically. Thank you very much.
It's very difficult to add anything on that because you all have shared, and I think Rosie and Victoria, of course, have the better insight because they have the big picture overview over what is happening, have done hard work. That's why they have the insight sitting on the board. But what I see is also what you described is a change that the foundation you both described is trying to look more over a longer term plan and be prepared. And I also see signs of that in different places. And it's not just technology or not just finances, not just community health, but it's all of those things where I think the foundation is at least trying to develop plans. And I think that's also what will be the job of the coming board, whether we are on it, other people are on it, some of us are on it, to make sure that the foundation looks at all those different parts and sees that sustainability is on top of all the planning, that the plans are strategic, as you said, Taslima, that it's in the technology sector where you are more the expert, that it's also on the finance sector, that it's also on the sector where how do we convene, who do we invite, how do we make sure editors want to keep coming, how do we keep readers, how do we deal with this strange thing AI? All those things are on the plate and the board will have to deal with it.
Okay, that kind of gives me follow-up question that how the foundation is working on ensuring that there are more youth come into the movement, how their capacities are continuing in the movement. Is there any such initiative for the younger generation to take more ownership and get involved in the movement that you are aware of?
I think Rosie just mentioned that there was a big education initiative, and perhaps you can add a bit more to that, because that's always important if we talk about youth, to go to the education sector.
So as long as we have a shared understanding that the Board of Trustees does not deal with any operational issues. The Board of Trustees sets strategy. We have one employee, the CEO, and the CEO takes the strategic direction that in form of goals from the Board of Trustees and then decides how to operationalize the strategy. So if the strategy is to attract more users, more editors that are more diverse, particularly diversity in age, to include younger members, then it would be up to Mariana to sort out the best way to make that happen, and then to her team, the 700 employees or what have you, would then operationalize it. I can tell you, it is certainly something that the trustees have on their mind and have discussed, that improving readership so that more people are reading and consuming in other ways, virtual assistants and so forth, is very important. Attracting more users, more editors, more participants in the terms of organizers and leaders and tech people, attracting more of those across all generations, including youth, is very important and is a part of the strategy. And along with that, so if you have participants and you have consumers, you also have representation, and that is very important. It's representation across languages, across projects, to include all age groups, including youth.
Yes, that adds insight to it. Okay, respecting the time, we will take the last question and we'll open the floor for the audience if they want to ask a question. Okay, so the last question from me is what are the measures that are being implemented to ensure transparency, accountability, and responsible governance within the Wikimedia movement? Are you aware of any such initiatives?
Okay, like Rosie has said earlier, the annual plan is a kind of a transparent financial report that shows what the community is spending money on and all that. Because, for instance, I'm a board member of Wiki Project Medicine. Everything we are spending money on in my affiliates, I know everything about it. So like it works around for all projects, even Wikimedia Foundation generally. Then another way is the board of trustee meetings, the Wikimedia Foundation meetings, the learning meetings. Like there are always meetings to discuss things and for you to express your concern. So there's nothing really hidden over here. So these are the ways I've seen that the foundation has been transparent and allow participants, individuals, contributors, editors, and readers to share their concern and be more open. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you already mentioned the annual plan, the financial budget, also the not just the budget, not just the future-looking thing, but also looking backwards, the actual spending, all those things are transparently published on Meta. And transparency, well, yeah, it's transparent, but you have to know where to find it. But I think that's also something Rosie always talks rightly about. The board doesn't do this. The board just tells Mariana or whoever will be the CEO in the future, whoever was in the past, please be transparent. And what I've seen is the foundation has put more effort into making this easier to understand and to publish it in more places, to develop newsletters, posts on the diff blog, for example, so that all those decisions that are taken, people don't have to go to secret places to find it public, but somewhere in the bottom drawer, but that it's posted in places where people can find it. And I think that's something that is partly due to the good work of the current board that also placed emphasis on this.
I agree. I don't think the foundation has a problem with transparency if we're talking about financial transparency. Because Wikimedia Foundation is a charity, there are very strict laws in the US about publishing financial documentation.
The question is related to the governance only, not with the financial transparency.
With the governance, I know that it can be an issue that board often communicates in a legal language which is almost impenetrable. And that was the problem with our current resolution, not to ratify the charter. But as the board is concerned, is the part of the same story about being a charity and needing to use a legal language. And you will see that Wikimedia Foundation spends significant money on legal issues. And it's not because it just wants to spend money, but because it has a responsibility, a liability. So if we start using a more informal language, it may lead to unintended consequences, bad consequences. The board made a significant effort to be more transparent. Our Community Affairs Committee has regular online conversations with people, which are all welcome to join. They usually advertised on Meta and Wikimedia L, on Facebook, everywhere. but it still remains a black box, and it will remain a black box just because some information, if it's published, it can do harm. The same problem is with trust and safety. They often make decisions, but they don't disclose why they made the decisions. And I want to say that these decisions are usually discussed with the board, and we approve them, but we cannot share the information. So there are checks and balances in place. Are we good at it? Not very much, but I hope we'll become better of being more transparent.
Yeah, as we always say that there is always a space for improvement, scope of growth. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for your insightful answers and being patient with me with my questions.
I just want to say, I want to ask you to vote, not necessarily for us, but generally in the elections, because we have like 70,000 eligible voters. In the last election, we had less than 7,000 of voters, and every vote matters. Please go have a look at the candidates. There's only 12 candidates. They answered some questions. There will be lightning talks, literally 3 minutes of your time on video if you cannot do it in person. Just vote. Thank you.
Okay, I will now open the floor for the participants for at least next 5 to 7 minutes. If you have any question that you want to ask the Board of Trustees candidates, please feel free to ask. Or if you have any concerns. Venus? Yes. I'll give you the mic. Okay.
So first of all, thank you for the answers. But what I'm trying to figure out here is we did talk a lot about communications, how you can share the message, if you got elected. But also at the same time, are you a good listener here in this case? Because when we talk about communication, we don't need you to bring not just bringing information from the foundation to us, but at the same time we need you to listen to us here, the community. So do you consider yourself as a good listener in this case?
I'll go ahead and start. So I'll speak for myself. While I am a trustee, I am also knit tightly into the community. You can check my edit history and you will see how many edits I've made since I joined the board, how many new articles I created. July was, I was a slacker in July because I was working on preparing for Wikimania. I only created 11 new articles in the month of July. So I am deeply bound into this community. I am closely entwined with our affiliates. If Ruby is still in the room, I can't see because of the bright lights, involved in mentoring our new representative of WikiWomen users group and being on the core team for WikiConference North America user group. So I think there are others who are elected members of the Board of Trustees, not the appointed ones, who are equally invested. We are tied into the community. We attend all the SWAN calls. We have all sorts of little Google groups where we talk with other members of the community because that's who we are. We are members of the community, so we do listen. What we can't do or can't do very much or very well is to share our personal opinions. When there is an opinion and it's been published on Wikimedia L by our chair, and the chair states the opinion of the board, the only comment that I will make back is to say the same words that the chair has said. Because if you understand governance, you know that the boards of nonprofits, at least in the United States, are welcome and encouraged to have open discussions amongst themselves. But once they vote and they vote on a resolution and that is finalized, they must speak with one voice. No matter how they voted before, they must speak with one voice. So that's why you won't hear too many comments being made afterwards, stating personal opinions. While I could say my personal opinion as Rosie Stepp is XYZ, I worried that I would stick my foot in my mouth, so I don't do that. I would only parrot what the chair has posted on Wikimedia L. It doesn't mean that I didn't listen to the community or that I don't have my own opinion, but it is my the duty of loyalty that is required of trustees in the United States nonprofits. The duty of loyalty is that I will speak with one voice, the voice that the chair has posted the opinion on when a resolution has been passed.
Okay, the general rule for communication is that you can't communicate without listening, because communication is two ways. We have the listener, we have the speaker. So if you are not listening, then definitely effective communication cannot come true. For instance, I'm trying to say, hello, you are talking to me, I'm listening to you. I mean, you are listening to me, I'm not listening to you. There is no communication that can take place. So as a person, I'm not a very social person, but my listening skills and my communication skills can make me look like, oh, you know almost everybody in this room. I can meet you today and I would by the time we communicate and all that, it would be like we've known each other for like 10 years. And if I'm just talking about myself alone and I'm not communicating with you, listening with you, there's no way we would get to know one another. So I can vouch for myself in terms of my listening skills. And I would like to add up with what she said earlier, that when it comes to serving, because outside Wikimedia, I've served as a member in my state. I was the first female president for my institution. So back there, there are some decisions that I know that as a leader, even though I listened, I might have to digest and make decisions that are in the interest of the people. They might not really see it, but then that doesn't mean that I will not listen. I will listen to you, empathize with you, then I might have to give you solution that might not really that might not really suit you, or you might not be very comfortable with. But when it comes to listen, I can try my best. I can only try my best.
I heard you ask this question. And if we were alone in the room, I would ask you about all those experiences where you were feeling not heard. Because to me, that is what I heard above or below the question you asked. We can't do this here, but I think it's important to recognize that a large part of the community often feels not heard by the foundation or by the board of trustees. The problem is, I think a lot of the trustees in the past also were good listeners, and they heard those voices. But while you were asking this question, you would tell all the stories where you felt not heard. I would also talk to someone outside, and they would tell different stories. And when you would say, please do more to advance, I don't know, a certain thing, that person would say, please don't put any more money in that sink. Don't do this. Let's move in the other direction. And there will be a third person who will suggest another direction. And so often I think community is heard, but community has 1,000 voices. And the board then has to decide, with all the things we've heard, what's the direction we're going to take? What are the things that we are going to recommend to the foundation? What should be implemented? And I think that's a conundrum that will never be solved. So yes, I believe I'm a good listener, but still you probably at one point will feel, I didn't hear you.
On the surface level, I love talking to people, and mostly listening to people. I prefer listening to people, and Wikimania is one of these venues where I gather people's opinion. But what Crystal said, it's true. It's one thing when you are telling me just the story, but usually from the trustee you want some immediate action. And it's an immediate problem because nothing can be solved in a day. For example, there was a letter by about 50 Russian-speaking Wikimedians about a year ago on Meta, asking about statistics. The details doesn't matter, but I decided that, 50 people is enough voices, and there was a consensus that yes, this is the issue and we want it solved. But the more I looked into it, the more it became complicated. So it's not only a technical issue, a legal is involved, and trust and safety. And to cut the long story short, a year later, now I am ready to give them the final answer. And it's optimistic, but it will come into force only probably in 2025. So it will take 2 years to solve something which on the surface to me looked like switching something on. And usually the problems that people come to the board of trustees with are this complicated, because otherwise it would have been solved before. Therefore, we are listening, but I cannot promise on any issues that there will be some immediate effect. This is just the nature of things. I'm sorry.
I want to highlight what Rosie says, because it's not something is happening only on the board of trustees, it's something that's happening on all our committees. So as a former AFCOM chair, I can say that yes, the voice which is getting out is the voice of everybody, because not means only loyalty in front of the law, means a consensus, a wiki consensus. So this means that before was done a discussion, before was done a voting process. So this is the decision of the whole community, even if I do not agree, even if other one do not agree, and so on. So you cannot talk with other voice that that is different of that was outside, came out with the consensus, because we are wiki. So consensus, it's a big, it's our way of doing things. So it's also about consensus, I think.
I have a question. There were two questions. The first one is, Rosie, you specified how heavy this workflow is, how intense this job is, if we may call it a job. But I think this responsibility is so huge, so enormous, and consuming at the same time. Do you have any kind of thoughts to share with the people who have not served on the board on why they should consider serving on the board? Like why there should be more women? We know we have limited time, limited resources and all of that, but why is still this work so important?
Okay. I think that the trustees that are appointed seats, so people who have been picked from the world because of their expertise. I don't know if Kathy is still in the room. She's our new chair of the audit committee. She was an appointed seat, retired. She was chief financial officer of a university, and now she's the chair of the audit committee. She's a new trustee. I think that that trustees that are appointed seats have maybe a different level of stress. They aren't as connected. They don't know as much about the community. They're here. they're listening to the community, they're learning about the community, and the longer they serve, the more embedded they become in the community. But those of us who are elected, and there are 8 of us who are elected, we all stay in the community. We love this community. We came from the community. We're still in the community. When we leave here from being a trustee, we continue to be in the community. And so we bear the stress of understanding the community in a way and loving the community and wanting to do the things that, you know, we understand the community wants and why it wants it, because we are the community. But the fact is, we can't do everything that the community wants or that affiliates want. We were together on AFCOM. Before you were the chair of AFCOM, I was the chair of AFCOM. So we love the affiliates. We are embedded and we understand what they want, and yet it's hard because it takes a long time to move forward in terms of coming up with a strategic idea and then having the Wikimedia Foundation operationalize it. Again, we're not the ones who are doing that work. It's very hard to make change, and that is stressful. And it's stressful to know the different things that are happening in the world to Wikipedians. You may be aware that there is, since Mariana joined, there, as the CEO, there is an advocacy department that is part of the legal department of the Wikimedia Foundation, and they help with those matters where you're a Wikipedian and you live in a country and all of a sudden you're in danger because of the work that you're doing as a Wikipedian. It's real. And these are the kinds of things that we don't hear all the stories, but we learn about some high-level ones, and it is very stressful to know that. It's nothing that you can do as a trustee because we don't deal with operations, but when you become aware of these things, you know, maybe for some people it's different. Maybe, you know, they don't take things to heart. I don't know, but for some of us, it's stressful. It's a lot to carry, to know. It's like, you know, I need to be honest with you who aren't on the board. It's like you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about the board work, and you go to bed at night and the last thing you think about is not your children, your grandchildren, your husband or yourself. You're thinking about something that happened that's related to your board work. So it's not necessarily every day, but you know, it's, if you can't help but take it seriously. There is no one who can be a slacker. You can take a leave of absence if you need to do so, but if you're not on a leave of absence, you are present 365 days of the year in terms of the work that we do. Thank you.
Well, it looks like a continuous conversation that is never ending, because people have this depth of understanding what the movement is approaching to and what role the Board of Trustees brings on. Okay, respecting the time factor, now we will close this slot. Thank you so much for your precious time and knowledge. Okay.
Thank you
so
for having
now,
us.
Yes. Now we will move to the next slot of the summit, which is our official handover of the WikiWomen Summit. And for that, I would like to request the production team, can you please restore the projector setup which we messed up. Sorry.
Can we please refresh the slides as well? I'll move them to the back. That's the simplest possible way of doing it.